I'm sure he will be like a father figure to the city from here on.
Yes.
And he has a great gig lined up, I believe, doing Sunday Night Football on NBC. Congratulations, Drew Brees, on one of the all-time greatest careers ever. So I kept looking at these numbers last night, and I kept trying to put it in perspective. And there was one name I just couldn't escape, and it was a name you just brought up, and that's Tom Brady. Drew Brees' career was so great that it could have been the all-time greatest just on sheer statistics.
Right, yes.
Except he was born at the wrong time.
Yes.
He spent his whole career having to try to play up to Tom Brady, and you just can't. It's impossible. The bar is set absurdly high, unrealistically high, and it kept putting him in the shadows of Tom Brady.
And Skip, and smack dab in Peyton. Peyton's only a couple of years older.
Right in the middle of Peyton. But if I just had to gauge or rate or rank Brees versus Peyton, I could at least put him in the ballpark. I could do it more LeBron-esque where you have great longevity stats. And I could go, well, he did beat Peyton head-to-head in a Super Bowl. That was great, man.
Yes.
And you just said that run.
Yeah.
That was up there.
Yes.
And yet, if we look at Peyton's postseason, it was 14-13, but it helped in Denver that he got to the two Super Bowls, and then he won one, and he kind of went along for a ride on that one. Thanks, he sort of rode Von Miller's coattails to that Super Bowl. So Peyton finished 2-2 in Super Bowls,
right,
but he was only 9-10 in the playoffs while with the Colts,
right,
14-13 overall. So if you just looked at the all-time numbers, you could start making that LeBron-esque sort of LeBron versus Jordan case that on just sheer longevity numbers, that Brees had a slightly better career than Peyton did. I wouldn't go there, but you could at least...
Yeah, you could make it, you could debate it.
You could at least debate it. But you can't debate Brady because Drew Brees has ended up in the postseason 9-9, and that counts that one run of 3-0 to the Super Bowl. So if you take that away, he's 6-9 in the postseason. Brady is 34-11 with 7 Super Bowls.
Right.
Well, it's like game over. You can't even start the conversation there. So he was just born at the wrong time. He was born a year and almost a half after Brady was. And yet it's got to crush Drew Brees that the man that he's fought against since he was in college in the Big Ten is still going strong. So right now, as we speak, Drew Brees holds the all-time record for most completions, 7,142. He holds the all-time yardage record of 80,358 yards. It's a ridiculous number of yards. But those are not going to stand because Brady will catch and pass both of them, because I'm pretty sure Brady's going to play 2 more seasons.
Right, this year
I know he's going to play 1, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2. And then after that, all bets are off. We'll see what happens.
Right.
But it's 2 more years, and I kept telling you, I wonder if Drew Brees will go Brady-esque and say, well, okay, he posted that video a week or so ago. I thought, well, is he going to try to go Brady and go somewhere else just to compete for numbers?
No.
Nope. You know why? Because he's had enough. His body has had enough. It's like you hit the wall at 35. It was both body and mind. You're just beaten from it, where you just say, okay, I've done all I can do, and I'm satisfied with what I did, and he's got to be more than satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the Brady factor. And remember, it started back in college when, in 1999, Drew Brees at Purdue started off 4-0. And they got all the way up to number 11, and they went and visited number 4 Michigan in the Big House, and it was Tom Brady at quarterback that day, and Brady threw 2 first-quarter touchdowns, and they were off to the races and won 38-12. So that sort of crushed Purdue, and they ended up going 7-5 that year. So they plummeted out of the top 20, obviously. So it started there, and then it also had to crush Brees' soul. It's like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 1 year ago about today, what did we hear? Nobody saw that coming. Wait, Tom Brady is going to Drew Brees' division? Huh? He is? Well, Brees continued to thump him and thumped him twice. And that second thumping on Sunday Night Football at Tampa was just all-time career. I thought it was the worst game Brady's ever played on that Sunday night at Tampa Bay. And yet, what happened in the playoffs? Who ended Drew Brees' career? It was Tom Brady. He did it again. And I'm not saying he completely outplayed him. It was, as you pointed out, it was more of a defensive game in that the defense took the game over against Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think Brees was like 30 or 38 for 288. I think he had a touchdown or two. But, Tracy Porter made the play of the game, the pick six that really sealed it.
Okay,
like Peyton was driving.
That's the
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
in the playoff game.
Now, you talking about against Tampa?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he played bad, Skip. He played bad.
Who played bad?
Drew.
Well, I mean, he came apart thanks to, but I'm saying it was almost more of a defensive game for Tampa.
You talking about Tom Brady didn't put up huge numbers.
Tom played pretty well, but his defense played
outstanding.
The best game of the year. And Antoine Winfield Jr., a rookie out of Minnesota, made the play of the year, maybe.
Yes.
Because Jared Cook's got it in his hands, and he's going for a big first down and big yardage into Tampa Bay territory.
Because they're up 7 at that point, Skip. So it looks like a worst-case scenario, they're about to get a field goal.
Right, and he was crossing the 50.
Yeah.
From behind. Guess what? Ball's on the ground and game's on the ground, and here they go.
They head back the other way, get a touchdown, and they don't look back.
That is correct. Okay, so in the end, you look at what he did as, I would like to say he's the greatest overachiever ever at the position, but the truth is, I've told you, I think Brady's a little greater overachiever at the position than even Drew Brees. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Look at Drew's lineage, his family lineage. His father played basketball at Texas A&M. His mother, who became a prominent attorney, was all-state in 3 sports in high school in Texas. Pretty good. And I don't know if you remember his uncle, Marty Akins, but he was the starting quarterback for Darrell Royal at Texas for 3 years. I just know him from the big Oklahoma-Texas battles, and he was the Southwest Conference Player of the Year in 1975. Marty Akins, the Texas fans will definitely know. He's pretty legendary. Well, he was Drew's uncle.
Right.
So Drew grows up in Austin, Texas, Austin Westlake. They just dominate high school football, and nobody wants him. He couldn't get a sniff from either Texas A&M, where his father went, or from the University of Texas, where his uncle went. And he winds up, it's either Kentucky or Purdue, and he goes to Purdue.
Yeah, normally Texas kids don't go to Purdue.
Okay, but I always thought Drew Brees was an underrated athlete, and I never thought Tom Brady was an underrated athlete, because I can't get that horror movie out of my mind of the 40-yard dash that he ran.
Skip, the reason why I believe Drew is a greater overachiever, Skip, because of the size.
Yep. No,
if he was 6'5", Skip, okay, you get Tom. But Skip, we hadn't seen anything like this. 6 foot tall quarterback, maybe 6 foot. If he had
I think he's definitely 6 foot tall. Yeah.
If he had an arm like Mike Vick, I said, okay, well, Skip, look how he throw the ball. He can launch at 80 yards. He had none of that. He didn't have Michael Vick or Kyler Murray speed, Lamar Jackson elusiveness. He didn't have Mike Vick's arm. He average height, average arm, average athleticism. And look what he got, 80,000 yards? You're right, Brady's going to pass it. He had the touchdown record. Brady's going to end up with that.
He's just going to pass him in everything.
Yeah, but when I look at him, I'm like, that does not look like the guy that was going to play 20 years and at one point in time had every statistical meaningful category at the quarterback position.
He did. Nope, I got it. So now we move forward in New Orleans, and I assume they are going to sign Jameis to a longer-term, franchise quarterback kind of a deal.
You think so?
That's all the reports. That's all the speculation. That as we speak, they're working on a deal.
What's a franchise?
I don't know, but you got to pay him some money because he is a free agent.
Right.
He's not restricted. He is free.
Correct.
Would anybody else make a big play for Jameis? Maybe. Now, I don't know what big money is. I don't know if we're
10
talking...
million?
Well, Cam got 14 with his incentive.
But Skip, you got to go to win the playoffs, and you got to play 50% of the time. You got to have this, you got to have that. I'm talking about, Jameis says, look here, give me $10 million base plus incentives.
Yep, maybe. Remember,
and then let me get to that bottom tier quarterback number, Skip, $18, $20 million. Let me get to the bottom tier.
Okay, but at least Jameis was the #1 overall pick.
Yes.
This is his 7th season in the NFL. He willingly and happily took about $1 million last year, just as minimum as you could get, just to understudy Drew Brees. He got his feet wet a little bit. He got in game here or there. So he got the system down in his head. It would be between him and Taysom Hill. We saw Taysom get to start, 4 games or whatever it was. And nobody said, that's the guy.
No.
I don't think Sean Payton said, that's my man going forward. But does he work as that gadget guy, as a little bit of a compliment? Sure.
Keep him in that role.
Yeah. Keep him, let him do what he does.
Right.
Okay? So, Jameis, what do you always say? High turnovers in college, high turnovers in pro
football. Brought it with him to the league.
Okay, and he did. And 2 seasons ago, as he started his last full season in Tampa, what did he do? He had 35 turnovers, which by far and away led the league in turnovers. And the odds are he will continue to try to throw home runs at a cost to Sean Payton that he will not like. So I fear for Jameis a little bit, because these are, again, Cam did a great job going to Foxborough and filling Brady's cleats up there, the winged cleats of Tom Brady. Boy, Jameis is going to have a hard time here, because they are going to be very demanding starting next year, because they need Drew Brees back in the saddle as far as production goes.
Skip, if you remember his last year in Tampa, Jameis threw for over 5,000 yards.
He did. He led the league.
With 30 picks. So imagine how many yards he would have thrown for had he cut that in half.
Agreed.
He might have broke Peyton's record. He needs to understand, and I think Sean Payton will drive this home. You have to take calculated risks. Everything can't be a jump ball to Mike Evans or a jump ball to Chris Godwin. We can't win games like that. Because you see what happened, it cost us in the playoffs. We turned the ball. We were in control of this ball game until we turned the ball over. If you look at our playoff games that we've lost, we were in control of the game until we turned the ball over. That's what Jameis has to understand. Brady has done the best job maybe of any quarterback understanding the situation in which he's in. Man, this is a defensive struggle. I can't turn the ball over. He takes care of it with the exception of the Green Bay game. But his defense was in their bag that day, and they kept Aaron